Welcome in. It is a Saturday morning, and we are ready to talk some sports. We got just me and BC in today. Mike had some business going on, so we're gonna just handle this on our own. It's like I was saying, it's me and Mr. BC. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. Just ready to talk some sports. A little on the sluggish side this morning, but I got a ghost energy in me. I got some prime hydration in me. I am ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely, man. You got those goes a long way, man. I got a little free energy going myself, man. All right, man, we have a fun-packed show for you today, man. We're going to have some Bradley Beal talk. We're going to have some Dame Lillard talk. TJ Watt's making some money. That big, huge UFC fight tonight that I cannot wait for. I've been waiting for this one for a few months. We're going to break that down a little bit, and we're going to continue our series of the AFC East, man. See how that thing is going to shake up with that. We're going to go ahead and break down what we think is going to happen with the teams. We're not going to make our predictions yet. We'll do that later on when it gets closer actually to the season. But yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun for us today. We have a really cool down bad debate that I think you guys are all going to love. So we really appreciate you guys. If you guys want to jump on and talk some sports with us and all that good stuff, man. Before we get into all of that good things, Mr. BC, why don't you let the people know what you got going on, my friend?
Well, I got the missus and I. We got our small business down here in Central Florida, branddesk.media. We got your wedding, engagement, family formal, and corporate event photography and videography down here. So if you or anybody you know is looking for some high-quality photos and videos, no matter the event, no matter the occasion, check us out at branddesk.media to check out the portfolio, see if we're a match or not for you. And that's branddesk.media. We make moments that last a lifetime. And for those of you who have been keeping up with the show recently, I just launched a brand new website, bcthebrand.com. Got all of my work portfolio, starting to get into voiceover work here as well. So if you're anybody you know, need some voiceover talent for commercials, need it for potentially live events, anything like that, DJ, MC, public address, host, whatever it is, I got y'all covered there at bcthebrand.com. You can check out the link to all of my past experiences, blogging, details from the journey, getting to here. And then also as well, you can kind of take a look at my portfolio as well, see if the voice talent matches right there. We'll be hearing some voiceover work as well on this episode as well. So if it's what you guys are looking for, give me a holler as well at bcthebrand.com. You can also catch me on social media at bcthebrand_media.
Man, that's a lot of stuff going on for Mr. BC, man, and all the other things you got going on too. Working with the Flying Tigers and the Magic, man. You got a lot of stuff going on. So BC is all over the place.
16 and 4 at this point in the second half of the season for Flying Tigers, man. So your boy is loving it.
And you predicted some good stuff for the Tigers earlier this year, man. We were doing our breakdowns before, man. You said the Tigers are gonna have a really good year. It turns out you were correct on that one, man. One of the best teams in the bigs this year. So that impressive work for you, my friend.
Probably the best organization top to bottom, from the majors all the way down to the complex leagues, but not to brag too much.
Well, anyways, man, we also got a great company that we've been working with. It's Varsity Sports Nation. If you want premier sports, man, this is your app. You want high school sports, they got you, man. You want college sports, they got you. You want content like you're watching right now, they got you. You can check us out on demand. The best part of it is it all comes on a free and convenient app for you to download on your iOS, your Android, Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire TV, Apple, whatever you got, they're on there, man, as well as your social medias. So please check them out. Give them a like and subscribe, as well as give us a like and subscribe as well. Please, we really appreciate all the love and support we've been getting from everybody. And last but not least, we've been working with Millions. Millions is a great company. They're up and coming as well, just like Varsity. This one's a lot more if you want to do interviews with athletes. You want to see what's going on with a lot of social media stuff with fighters and different aspects of any kind of sports, man. Millions.co is your place for that. So check them out. And a big announcement for us. We're moving up in the world here now. We are officially on Apple Podcasts now. So we appreciate all the support, like we were saying a couple minutes ago. We could not have done this without you guys, so we really appreciate that. So obviously, views from the stands on Apple Podcasts. So check us out on there. We're also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube. We're on everywhere that you guys pretty much get any kind of content. So we really, like I was saying before, appreciate all the love we've been getting. On about you, man, we paid some bills. What do you think we get in some news? What do you think?
Let's do it.
News from the world of sports.
All right, man, we're going to start with Mr. the younger brother of old JJ Watt, and had a hilarious reaction. I don't know if you've seen this or not. TJ Watt signs a 3-year, $123 million extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his older brother, the legendary Mr. JJ Watt, had a hilarious reaction, was actually saying that if I ever have to pay for another meal in my life from you, we're fighting hands on site. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed him, like I was saying, 3 years, $123 million. TJ Watt has been one of the most dominant forces in the NFL since he's came into the league, and he's been with the Steelers his entire career. Mr. BC, do you find this contract and this deal the right move for the Steelers, and is he worth this huge contract?
Of course he is. He's the heart and soul of the modern steel curtain, so to say. He's been perennial mainstay in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation for the last 5-6 years. Arguably could have won at least one more, but we won't get into that discussion, which one he takes over from a certain defensive end from Cleveland. Oh, I spoiled too much. But he's the guy for that Pittsburgh Steelers team. It's perfect signing, or perfect re-signing rather, and it's a great move for him as well. He gets to kind of be a lifer, so to say, in Pittsburgh, at least getting closer to that status there. I know JJ kind of bounced around a little bit in the league towards the end of his career, so it is nice to see TJ kind of staying home in Pittsburgh, and I think it's a good move for the Steelers. Obviously, again, it keeps that defense going, keeps them humming along for the next few years, and it gives him, I think, probably the best chance as far as right now, just based on his prospects, based on the salary, based on the fit overall. I think that it's a great move for him moving forward. Whether or not they are able to win it all this year, that kind of remains to be seen. But I think that it's a great fit for him. And again, he's pretty much a lifer with them at this point.
Yeah, talking about a lifer with the Pittsburgh Steelers, TJ Watt already has the sack record, which is extremely impressive knowing all the greatest defensive players that Pittsburgh's had throughout the years. It's always been known for their defense. And TJ Watt already at this point in his career has the most career sacks with 108. So that's extremely impressive. I like TJ as well as I like JJ as well. JJ was one of my all-time favorites, but TJ has made it in his own right. The whole Watt family just seems like great people, and they've been really great for the league. Always seem like they're doing things the right way. I think TJ is a little bit different from his brother. Obviously, they played great both defensive players, but I think he's made his own, and which is a pretty cool thing, and which is good for him to be able to step out from his brother's shadows. So yes. I think that's really good for him, and I think it's really great for the Pittsburgh Steelers because it keeps one of the mainstays, and they seem like they always take care of their players. They don't really let people go per se. Clearly, Mike Tomlin's been there for a long time and still has respect to the players. So I think this is a really good move for the Steelers moving forward and keeping J.J. Watt there. It also gets him signed, and you're not running into the same problem that the same division the Cincinnati Bengals are in with Trey Hendrickson. That's another deal that needs to get done from this division. But the Steelers knew what they had right here in TJ Watt, and they're not going to let him walk out the building. So 3 years, $123 million for the 2017 pick. So yeah, I think it's a good move in here, man. You like this move that you said? Yeah,
for sure, 100%. And I know that talking about the differences between the brothers and everything. Obviously, JJ, multi-time Defensive Player of the Year. One of the most dominant interior pass rushers of the last decade, and right up there with Aaron Donald, obviously. TJ, obviously, again, playing a different role on the defense, so to say, not necessarily rushing from the interior, more of an edge guy, but again, and he doesn't play necessarily the same with just straight up power, strength, and dominance. He tends to dominate more with finesse, a lot more quickness, a lot more explosivity in that route, but still, one of the premier pass rushers of this generation. And I think that, again, staying home or staying at home in Pittsburgh, being able to be a lifer with this organization, again, with one that has as much history as they do. The only thing this man needs is a Super Bowl ring, and for his sake, I hope he gets it at some point.
Yeah, couldn't have said any better myself. All right, we're going to stick with the NFL. Some other major news that just came out recently. The NFL, Rashid Rice finally got his sentencing from the car accident that he was in. He was clocked doing about 119 miles an hour for about 4 seconds. It had you looked it up a little bit ago. How many cars were involved in that accident? It was like 5 vehicles.
It was a 5-vehicle incident, and 2 individuals were hospitalized, and 2 others were treated at the scene for minor injuries. Fortunately, though, there were no fatalities in the accident.
Right. So Rashid Rice is going to be getting a 30-day jail sentence and 5 years probation. It hasn't came down with what the league is going to do. They're most certainly going to be suspending him at some point in time. We don't really know if he's going to go on the commissioner's exempt list or if he's going to serve his sentence this year, next year. This is still fresh, and so they have time to figure out what the actual legal action is going to be. What do you expect that the NFL is going to do in this situation?
I mean, it's difficult to say just because, again, there were no fatalities involved. But, again, you do have the 30 days in jail. You do have the 5 years probation. So I feel like maybe just as a way the NFL could try to maybe make a statement towards him, they could potentially go with 5 games, one for each year of probation, something like that. That's typically how a lot of sports is kind of done nowadays, is for the headlines. So I could see them doing something like that, but I don't necessarily see this as a year-long suspension, multi-year suspension, maybe just for multiple games.
Yeah, it's just a shame, man. We were talking about it off the air. It's a shame that this happened. You had Henry Ruggs not too long ago, almost the same situation. Unfortunately, there were some fatalities in that case. You just got to figure out that, like, you have such a gift in front of you playing in the NFL, and doing boneheaded things like these just seems like you're taking it for granted. I hope that he's able to learn from this and move on and continue his career. It seemed like before the injury last year, he was starting to blossom into a legit receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't know. What do you expect? Do you think it's going to be this year or the following year that he's going to get suspended?
I feel like it could be as soon as this year, and the league just wants to try to send a message as a deterrent, just to say, hey, we mean business. Like, we're going to do this now. We're not going to handle this later. We're not going to push it off. I feel like just for the sake of them sending a message to the rest of the league, they're going to probably issue it out at some point this year.
I kind of feel like it's gonna linger a little bit because it's still fresh. That they're gonna wait till probably next year. If I had to guess, it'll be next year. And I'm kind of thinking because there have been so many of these driving incidents. It seems like with these NFL players, I think they're gonna go a little bit hard on them on this one and give them probably. I'm gonna go like 6 games, something along those lines. We'll see. Obviously, NFL players can always appeal and see how that works out. Obviously you're allowed that, but I just wish these guys would sometimes just wisen up and just start, use your head sometimes, man, and just think about what you're actually doing. There's no reason for you to be driving that fast, it just doesn't make any sense. So I hope the best for him. I hope he learns from it, and I hope he can just continue on his career. Luckily, like we were saying, no one was actually killed in the crash. So,
yes,
just sucks. You got to talk about these things, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah. I mean, I will say it. I was going to say, at least on, maybe to kind of put a more, changing the subject briefly, just to, kind of put a little positive, or not put a positive, but just rather changing the subject from something negative to something positive. Yesterday, the team that the Chiefs played the Super Bowl, Eagles, just got their Super Bowl rings. Just looking at the video right now, showing it off. Looks pretty sick. Got a little thing on. I know the tradition, for the last few years has been the detachable top. So you got to see the home stadium. The sides now kind of pop out a little bit where the wings are kind of on the side, so it kind of shows like the wings flying or something like that. So nice little feature. Just wanted to shout that out a little bit, put a little more positive, or a little more happy story right here for a team that's for a team that played the Chiefs. So good job, Philly.
Well, speaking of a guy that's probably pretty happy, we're going to move on to Mr. Bradley Beal, man. Bradley Beal, if you did not hear, got a buyout from the Phoenix Suns and is going to be heading to the Los Angeles Clippers. He agreed to a 2-year, $11 million contract. Man, Bradley Beal still getting 2-year, $11 million contract is extremely impressive, I think, for Bradley Beal, considering that he's had kind of pretty much an injury-plagued season since he's been in Phoenix. Do you like the move for LA, and do you think Beal can kind of bounce back?
I do like the move for LA, and I think that he fills a need that they possess. I mean, obviously, you've got James Harden that can kind of be that de facto point guard. Still got a little bit of a scoring touch to him, but he's that de facto point guard. Kawhi at the 3, and then you've got Bradley Beal at the 2 now. I think that fills a need. He's a multi-level scorer. Defensively, not the best player, but that's why you've got Kawhi on that team. And they've got, I think, a pretty sneaky good roster as well now that they're building out in LA. I mean, you've got Zubac. I love Zubac at the center. I think that he's one of the more underrated bigs in the game for sure. But yeah, I think that, those 4 together do make a good core for Los Angeles. And, is it something that, they're favorites to win the finals? No, but could they potentially, if Harden's playmaking, Beal's scoring, and Kawhi's defense kind of all merges together really well, I could see this team being a potential dark horse candidate out west.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Clippers made a great move in getting him. If you can get Bradley Beal back to any kind of form of what he was before the pure scoring, I think it's a humongous move for them. I'm hoping it does. As a Florida Gators guy, I love Bradley Beal. I've always liked him in the league. I wish he could have been. I wish he didn't waste as much time in Washington as he did. it seems like they just sucked the will out of him out of there. And once you start getting, into that losing mode, sometimes it's hard to get out of. And unfortunately, whenever he went to the Phoenix, he was pretty much injured the entire time. Just a quick question on, Bradley Beal. Do you think that the Clippers, that era of the Clippers, the Suns, was one of the biggest busts in history? What's your thoughts when they look back on this? Because essentially all they ended up doing, they didn't win very much of anything. KD isn't there anymore. They got rid of a bunch of draft picks. Bradley Beal isn't there anymore. And then they just end up re-signing Devin Booker. So they're pretty much back to square one that they started out with, just with less draft picks now. Do you think this is how do you look back on that time with the Phoenix Suns?
Oh, for sure. It was one of the biggest missed opportunities for that organization, especially because considering 2021, they were in the NBA Finals. So the fact that you go from reaching that pinnacle with Chris Paul, Devin Booker to now you have nothing, and Devin Booker, yeah, congratulations, but then you literally took multiple chances on KD and Beal, and it flamed out. That's what it was. It was a flame out of epic proportions, and now Houston Rockets are benefiting from that with KD, and now you're getting LA potentially with Bradley Beal as well. Also, too, just another interesting note as well. I know the NBA community is not very high on Ben Simmons and everything, but I will say this: if he can find a way to maybe settle into that power forward spot instead of trying to be a point guard, let James Harden handle that. Maybe he can kind of be more of that all around, do it all, power forward. That would be, I think, a really interesting starting lineup. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, no, Phoenix, to go from basically the highest point they've been in since the 90s to now you're basically cooked. You've got nothing. There's nothing else to say about it. It was the biggest missed opportunity, I think, of the 2020s so far.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back on it too, I mean, like literally everything they've done, it just seemed like it did not work at all. Ayton was supposed to be the guy. He's not even there anymore. So like they've literally, in that entire era of the KD and Beal time, if you will, amounted to nothing really. It's kind of a shame they lost out. They paid a lot of money out for these players, and I mean, you could almost count on two hands, if you will, the amount of games they actually even played together. Like it would have been great to see them, and it would have been awesome to see them healthy, and see what this would have actually looked like. Because on paper, when that actually happened, a lot of people were picking them to win the West. Like this was going to be one of the biggest offensive scoring powers in the league. It just flamed out. It just never really worked out. So I totally agree with you. I think it's a huge missed opportunity for the city of Phoenix.
The fact that they could have had with the first overall pick, Luka Doncic. I know that there was like a big controversy back then of, they weren't going to draft him. They were going to draft a center. They already had Booker. But still, in hindsight's 2020. We get it. Still, you could have had Devin Booker and Luka Doncic on the same team.
Yeah, I wonder how that would actually work, though.
I feel like it could. Booker can score at multiple levels. Luka, would be the more ball dominant of the two, but I feel like Booker could do enough off ball in terms of scoring to be able to be all right without the ball in his hands 24/7. Though the defensive questions would definitely linger. But again, you get Chris Paul, you add Chris Paul to that team. Maybe there's a good, maybe he's able to kind of impart some more words of wisdom onto Luka Doncic with playing defense. And I felt like that team could have been good enough to switch enough to where, they're not D-Book and Luka wouldn't necessarily be as big of liabilities. So,
well, what's interesting is pairing them two together, they eventually end up having some slight issues with each other later on in the series. Devin Booker made a lot of comments about Luka Doncic, kind of said he was overrated and all this stuff, and then Luka goes out that playoff game and just busts him with 50 points in the first half, I think it was, or something. So it would have been interesting to see that, how it would have worked out if they're on the same team. But I think the liability, like you're saying, on defense, there would be absolutely no defense at all on that team. So.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what they did with KD and Bradley Beal too. But the thing is, you don't have to commit nearly as much salary, and you still have most of your draft picks. So there's also that.
Yeah, no. I mean, hindsight is definitely 2020, especially when it comes to that as well. I mean, how the fact that Luka Doncic didn't go number one in that draft anyways is just insane anyway.
Or even at least number two. The fact that the Kings didn't take a chance on him, that was, oh my gosh. Him and De'Aaron Fox on the same team.
Oh yeah, see I think that would have worked out a lot better than him and Devin Booker a little bit. But that it's so interesting when you look back at drafts, knowing what you know now. In any kind of sport you can do that. Obviously, Tom Brady doesn't go in the 6th or 7th, 6th round. he would be probably number one, but that's just how sports goes. You never know what you got until it actually happens. So that always makes fun. It's always fun to look back on these things, knowing what you know now, though, for sure. All right, Mitch, we got another big move in the NBA as well. Mr. Dame Lillard, he is going back home, man. He is reuniting, and it feels so good with the Portland Trail Blazers. Dame Lillard is going to be, he's 35 years old and signed a 3-year, $42 million contract with the Portland Trail Blazers. Dame Lillard obviously had the major injury at the end of his Milwaukee days, so there's a strong possibility that he's going to be out a good majority of next year. If possibly maybe the whole season, we'll see. People are recovering from injuries a hell of a lot better than they ever did before. But yeah, 3 years, $42 million for Dame Lillard at 35 years old. What do you think of Portland signing for this? I mean, do you think Dame did the right decision, or I don't know. I find this one kind of confusing.
I think it all depends on his mindset. I will say, in light of recent events, the last few years of his career, I would say it is confusing because it's like, why would you decide to leave? Why would you decide to ask for a trade to get out of Portland? A couple years in Milwaukee, it doesn't necessarily go the way you want, and then because your biggest thing is, I want to win a ring, I want to win a championship, and then you just decide to go home anyway. I think it would have just been better and made more sense had he just decided, you know what, rings aren't everything. Home is where the heart is. Like, my family calls this place home. I think it would have just been better for his career as well had he just said, you know what, I don't really care what happens as far as not necessarily I don't care about winning a championship, but it's like, I trust what the organization's doing. I love this place. I'm just going to stay here for the rest of my life. It would have just made more sense had he just decided to stay instead of pitching the fit like he did a couple years ago. And again, I get it, ring chasing and stuff, or I get it, you want a ring. But then if you want that to be your story, then I think it would have just made more sense to either stick it out in Milwaukee or go to Miami, go to Golden State, maybe take that discount a little bit. And I think, honestly, maybe that's why he decided to go back home too, because he probably wouldn't have gotten as much money in Golden State or Miami had he chose to pursue those options. But yeah, it's confusing in the sense of, dude, just make up your mind to stick to it. Pick a lane. Like, you can't be ring chasing.
It's the giant question of why.
Yeah, it's like, pick a lane. Are you ring chasing or are you all about staying home? Pick one side.
Yeah,
you can't do both.
Where would you have liked him to seen him gone? He had options. He could have went a lot of places. There was even a rumor for your team, Orlando Magic, that he was kind of interested in maybe. Where would you like to have seen Dame go?
We could not have afforded him in Orlando, and I think that his timeline just didn't match up well with us. So game time in Orlando would be great for marketing, but I just think it kind of throws off what we're building here. Honestly, Miami would have been a fun option. It's the option that maybe he should have went with all along. Although right now, where they're kind of at, I don't know necessarily where they, I guess, kind of go with him this year. So I'm going to probably, if I have to go with the teams that he was rumored to go with, Golden State. Just because
that'd be fun.
You've got him and Steph. Yeah, again, we talked about backcourt defense being an issue. Him and Steph are both undersized guards. But again, Dame Time and Chef Curry on the same team shooting threes from the logo. You talk about gravity on offense, that has potential to be one of the best offenses in the league just from those two alone. And then you factor in Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green on defense, though. I feel like those two would have been able to shore up any defensive, I guess, liabilities that they present on that end. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Golden State. It would have been the more fun option of either team. And again, I think it would have given him the best shot at a championship now, just in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, since our buddy G Mike isn't here today, I'm going to go ahead and go say it for him. I know he wanted him in Miami really bad. So that's why I would have gone to. I think that he would have fit in Miami. I think that would have been what they needed. But I am surprised Portland is end up where he ended up landing. I always would have thought maybe even the Lakers or something like that. But I don't know. I just don't feel like it put him in the best position to win. I don't see Portland making some giant leap now that Dame Lillard's back there, and even being a contender in the West right now. The West is so stacked. They may be like a play-in team at best. I don't think that they're going to really work out very well. I do like having Drew Holiday there, but I just don't see them moving the needle as far as, making big improvements or making a big impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it would have been interesting to see him go to another place, but, hindsight's obviously, like we were saying before, hindsight's 2020 whenever can choose, because he obviously thought they were going to be able to win in Portland, and clearly it did not work out that way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's just some moves that they might make. They might try to make next summer that we don't know about. Maybe they'll try to make some. They'll try to package some of the younger players again. I it's just perplexing. It really is. So I don't know. Like, again, if he's comfortable with riding out his future there and retiring the greatest player in Blazers history, then yeah, by all means go for it. But just know that that's going to come with the connotation of you are not winning a championship, most likely with that city, barring some massive move or some massive draft pick for sure.
Right, right. All right, man, but that's going to break it down for the news, and we are moving on to a major, major event that is going on tonight, my man. I am so excited for this one.
It's time for Fight Night from the stands.
Oh, yeah, man, this is going to be so much fun. And if you can see it up here right now, we're talking about the last dance, man. We got Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. This fight is going to be such a blast. I cannot wait for this one. I've been waiting on this one since it's been announced a couple months ago. This is going to be Dustin Diamond's last fight, man. And what a hell of a career he's had. This is also the third time they fought. Poirier's won both matches. This was actually the fourth person that Poirier ever fought, and it was Holloway's first, man. So a lot has changed, obviously, since that point. They've have both had some legendary careers. Man, I'm so glad that this one is going to be Dustin's last fight, because he handpicked him to fight him. He knows what kind of warrior Holloway is. I don't see this one going to the ground one bit. All I see is a bunch of fists going in the air. Mr. BC, man, are you excited about this fight or what?
I am. I'm always a big fan of trilogy fights. So this one right here, again, the history that these two have. Dustin obviously winning both of the previous matchups, and Holloway trying to go for that elusive win finally. It's kind of like been his boogeyman, so to say. The Baba Yaga in this case. Yeah. So I think this has all the makings of one of those classic UFC fights. I love the story going into it. Max as well, known just for being an absolute tank and Iron Man, just able to take any and all damage. So I love it. I think that this sets the stage. This is going to be a great fight. Like you were mentioning, I don't see much ground game, much technicality. This is going to be two gunslingers going out on their feet. First man to drop is going to be the one, I think, to, this is it. Like whoever flinches, whoever gets the first KO shot, I think it's done. We'll save predictions, I guess, maybe for the end of the segment. Are we doing that? Are we going to go just right up and early?
You're fine, man. You're fine. What if you want to go ahead and do it, again?
I think. Typically, maybe I'm adding a little bit too much of a pro wrestling into this one, but just, WWE, WWE and UFC are all owned by the same company now. So, there's a little bit of influence in there, but I think this is the fight where Max is finally able to get the first win over Dustin. I think that Dustin goes out on his shield, on his back, and I think that Max finally, like I said, he finally gets that win. This is his last opportunity to do so, and I think Max just continues to add to his legacy among the UFC greats. And not to take away from Dustin, obviously, 30-9 record in MMA, legend of the sport, but I think that this is the one where he finally goes, this is the one where he finally gets that double-digit loss right there, and I just see Max just continuing to build on one of the greatest legacies of all time in the lightweight division.
I agree with you on the aspect of that. I think Max is in a better place than he ever was in those situations when they fought prior to this point. I was kind of leaning towards Max as well, just because he's been on, a real good streak lately. He had that huge knockout against Gaethje. But I think the writing is on the wall, man. You're in Louisiana. Lil Wayne's going to be walking out Dustin Poirier for the entrance to the fight. It's his hometown. It's his last fight. I foresee this at some point in time. They're going to be pointing at that UFC logo in the middle of the ring and just swinging for the fences. I kind of predict the same kind of aspect of what happened in that BMF fight with Gaethje and Holloway, where he landed that amazing knockout. I just feel like that is going to be Poirier on the other end doing it to Holloway this time. I know it's extremely difficult to knock out Holloway, but I can't go against my guy Dustin Diamond tonight. I think it's going to be a hell of a fun fight, man. It's a really good card, though, by the way, as well. I think there's going to be a lot of intense, fun fighting on this card, man. Pitbull's fighting on it. Ing is fighting on it. I think it's going to be an awesome fight, but I can't shy away from going Dustin Poirier in Louisiana, representing his hometown, man.
But see, that's where I kind of will disagree and say, but I think this is where it's one of those where I do agree with you. I think that this ends with a slugfest on the feet, like in that, like one of the championship rounds. They just go at it. And then I think Holloway lands the finishing blow. I think Poirier goes down. And yeah, it's in front of his home crowd, but again, just pro wrestling gimmick or dynamic. A lot of times you lose in front of your hometown, but you lose, you go on your back, but you get that hometown cheer at the end. I think Holloway does the right thing. I think, yeah, he gets the belt, but then I think, honors Poirier at the end in front of his hometown crowd. I think that they kind of give Poirier that last big hurrah on this night. I don't think he goes out as champion, but I think that he goes out as the people's champion, so to say. And yeah, like you said, the card's stacked, especially the other two big matchups on the main card. You got Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez. I got Holland winning that matchup, and then Paulo Costa and Roman Kapilov. I've got Paula winning that one. So I think that these are going to be. I think it's not. I think this has all the makings for being one of the better UFC cards in the last few years for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree too. It's a bunch of just legitimately good fights. I don't think it has like the namesake is obviously the main event. I think it's just one of those cards that has a lot of potential to be electric. I'm excited for that Pitbull fight too. That guy's an animal in the ring. Just all around, every card, every fight on there is something to see, different dynamics to it. But just so we're making everything clear here, you're going Holloway, I'm going Poirier, and that is going to close it out for that fight. Huh? You think it's fists in the air, and it's going to be new BMF title holder or continue to hold the belt?
Well, no, because Max holds it right now, right? Max holds the BMF. Yeah, I've got Max holding the belt. I was gonna say I've got him taking it through and through, and I just think that Poirier, as great of a fighter as he is, as great as the storyline would be, winning the title on your home floor. I've got Max doing it, but I think I've got Poirier kind of getting that last cheer from the crowd, the last nod, kind of his last chance to kind of bow out, going out like a warrior on his back, on his shield. I don't think there's any, aside from him winning the belt, I don't think there's any better ending to a storied career for a warrior like him.
One last thing on the BMF thing. Do you like the BMF idea? Do you like the title, the whole thing? Do you think it's kind of cool or kind of gimmicky?
It adds, I guess, something sort of to fights, but I do just think it's too gimmicky in a sense. I guess I'm more of a traditionalist when it comes to like my title belts, or no, like my title belt, like my championships in combat sports, and again, it's just it's one of those things where I get it, what it's supposed to be like. This is supposed to be the toughest dude in the sport. He's supposed to be the greatest and stuff like that, but I don't know. I think. No, it's just not. I think it is leaning too much into WWE. Everyone's like, oh, well, they're not the same. It's fake, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, you're kind of taking leaks from them, like hardcore champion, stuff like that. So yeah, it's a little too gimmicky for me. But again, who am I to judge? It's going to be, I think, a great fight, and it does add a little je ne sais quoi to the fight.
No, I agree. I do like the BMF thing. I think it's kind of cool. I had a few different ideas with how they can do it in different ways, which we can get into another time.
They need to change the title design for sure.
What's that?
If this is supposed to be the BMF title, they definitely need to change the design of the belt for sure. Make it look, I guess, a little bit more like rough and tough. Add a little bit more grit to it. It just looks too pristine for my liking.
A badass look to it.
Yeah, it's literally in the name. So it's like it should look like the Travis Scott title belt a little bit, or the hardcore title belt, like in WWE. Like, give it that look. Like, it's already a gimmick belt. Why not just in name? Why not just make it a gimmick belt in appearance too? Just let it match.
Let's shoot some fireworks off of it. Let's get all kinds of stuff going. Why the hell not, man?
Yeah.
All right, man. We're going to go ahead and leave the octagon and head to the gridiron, man. We're going to continue our series of the AFC East breakdown, right?
It's the division breakdown of the AFC East.
Oh, yeah.
I was just off with the finger snap. Oh, I missed it.
We are liking it, man. All right, so the AFC East, man, this is a great division here. It's a lot of fun. And we're going to go ahead and start at the top. We got the Buffalo Bills, man. Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, man. They had a hell of a year last year. A lot of people are predicting them to go ahead and dominate this division one more time. I think the Buffalo Bills are set up in a great position here. What's your thoughts on Buffalo, man? How do you think they finished out last season?
I mean, I think that the way they finished out last season will be the way they finish out this season. Like, they're the best team in the division. by far, I would say. I know that's maybe a hot take for all the Miami fans down south, but yeah, they, top to bottom, offense, defense. There's not really many in this division. There's none in this division, I think, that they can compete with them, and few outside that can as well. And also, though, too, I think that this is farewell season for their beloved stadium. So, like, I'm excited to see. I think that they did make some good improvements, some good additions in the offseason, and I think that those combined with, again, like, this is last season for Highmark, so I feel like all those things will kind of come together and really create a good storm for Buffalo to really have, I think, another great season. And again, you got MVP Josh Allen on the roster, so it's his squad.
Yeah, and just as a recap of their last season, man, they averaged 227.9 passing yards a game, which put them ninth in the league. They averaged 131.2 rushing yards, which is also ninth in the league. Points for was 30.9, which was second in the league. Points against 21.6, which was tied for 11th in the league. So they were an extremely well-balanced team. It was amazing, too, because I remember last year we were all looking at the Buffalo Bills, and especially we did this last year, which is crazy to say. We've actually been doing this for a year now. But anyways, it's we were looking at it and we were thinking that Buffalo had a pretty good chance to make some noise, but none of us really liked the offense because of they lost Diggs and all these other their situations, and all they did was just improve upon that. They became a more balanced team. They started rushing the ball a little bit more, making Josh Allen not necessarily wear the cape and be the Superman, only taking over what he really needed to. His efficiency was so much better than he ever was. Clearly, he was the MVP. People could debate that between him, Lamar. There was a couple of other guys, but that was my MVP pick going into last season was Josh Allen. I thought that he was going to put the team on his back, and he clearly did.
Yep.
He had himself a great year, reduced down to interceptions, and just he had a lot of standout moments. I feel like that's going to continue. I feel like it's a big year for Buffalo. Like you were saying, it's their last season in the old stadium. There's a lot riding on this season. I think that their window is still open, but constantly coming up short tends to wear on certain teams. I think Buffalo is very resilient, and they're ready to continue this move going forward, and I feel like they're going to. But yeah, at some point in time, you got to make that next hurl.
Well, and I will say, though, to be fair, especially on the defensive end, though, too, like you're getting Joey Bosa, or let me make sure I got the right Bosa brother, right? Yep, you get. About to say, I always forget. I always confuse the two, which one plays where. But yeah, you're getting Joey Bosa. You're getting back Tre'Davious White, from his little stint in Baltimore and everything. I think that those two guys, adding them to the defense, definitely does help shore up any weak points on that end. And again, like you said, MVP Josh Allen is, one of the most efficient, devastating players in the league to go up against. So I think that having him, also too, Keon Coleman at wide receiver, I think that he's been a really good piece for them. I think he's going to continue to grow and develop as well. He was somebody when he was getting drafted, he was somebody I was pretty high on, especially for the Bucs to go after. If you were looking for a Mike Evans replacement, but yeah, they have all the tools in offense, and Dalton Kincaid as well, a tight end. I can't forget about him. But having those guys pretty much, I think, really does help solidify the team moving forward this year. They didn't really lose a whole lot, I would say, on the offensive side of the ball. And defense, they got even better, I think. So it's going to be another great season for Baltimore. Second verse, same as the first.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Buffalo is going to have another really good year, and I'm excited for Buffalo this year because I think that they learned last year that they can do this without having to. They can rush the ball more. They have a great running attack. James Cook, I believe, is going to be get signed and come back. Ray Davis was really good. They had just a well balanced team, and I see them going in that same direction and moving forward. And I feel like Buffalo is going to have another amazing year this year.
Yep. And then shout out as well to Bucs legend that's currently on their roster, Jake Camarda, leading the way on the punt squad. So, just a little fun there, George. I know. You know me, man. I'm a homer. So I am interested, though, in seeing how he does there because he struggled a little bit in the warmer weather. I'm wondering if maybe the ball will carry better in cold weather, but we'll find out there.
Absolutely, man. Well, we're going to move on to second place, and that was the Miami Dolphins, man. The Dolphins came in second place last year. They had an up and down season, to say the least. It all fell apart when Tua fell apart. Tua started out great, like what was the first game? Second game got hurt and even got hurt again later on. It really comes down, and I hate to say it, and I hate to be that same person that's always going on the same thing, but it comes down to Tua. I think that this season is really big for Miami because they gave him that extension. I think Mike McDaniel, if he has another lackluster season as they had last year, he could be on his way out. And there's a lot of people who have been speculating if he's too friendly with the players, if he's, what's your thoughts on McDaniel and the Dolphins, man?
I mean, like you said it well. On offense, it is, unfortunately, it depends on Tua. And they've kind of just put themselves in the situation where, again, I'm not taking anything away from him. I think he's a great quarterback, but it's just he's so injury prone. He is the definition of a glass cannon. So it's one of those things where if you know that he's this fragile, you have to do a good job of keeping him upright, making sure he doesn't get hit. And it's just the reality of the situation you're in. Fortunately, they did draft an offensive lineman in the second round of the draft this year. So that was a good pick, good, potential blindside blocker for them. But yeah, it's either him or if he gets hurt, you're going to rely on Zach Wilson pretty much as your backup. So, and I know that there was obviously all the hype around Zach Wilson years ago, but that's pretty much the situation you backed yourself into. Now, I will say defensively, I like their pick of getting Kenneth Grant from Michigan, big chunky boy, filling up the middle of that defensive line there. I think that does help one of their, I guess, weak spots, you could say, was kind of that front seven on defense. But yeah, I mean, for better or worse, this team has pretty much hitched their wagon to, not to steal from Buffalo's slogan right there, but they pretty much hitched their wagon to Tua Tagovailoa. And this team is going to go where he goes this year.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit of history on the Dolphins going back last season. It's the numbers for offense just kind of blew my mind in this one. They averaged passing yards 219.8, which was 15th in the league. Rushing yards was 105.6. Points for was 20.3, which was 22nd in the league. Points against was 21.4, which was 10th in the league. Miami got their reputation for being speed and going down the field. And last season, it was just not there at all. Tyreek had that. He was saying he had a wrist injury since that whole police incident that happened. It just didn't look the same as what their offense was. And obviously that goes back to Tua not being there. But even when Tua came back, they were so scared to push the ball down the field that they just were dinking and dunking to Jonnu Smith, which also got lost as well. He went to Pittsburgh in that trade that they made. Yep. I find the Miami Dolphins a very puzzling team. I'm interested to see what they're going to do now that Jonnu Smith is gone. Are they going to go back to their high-powered offense now that they're going to have to move it down the field? Darrell Waller came out of retirement. He wasn't doing all that great whenever he did retire, but he did choose to come to Miami. He wanted to go there, made the trade, and got there. I don't know if he's the same as Jonnu Smith is at this point in time. If they're going to do that, just the classic little dink and dunk passes. I think they need to open it up. You have two of the fastest players in the league. You can't play scared that Tua is always going to get hurt. I think that's what they were doing last year. And if that's how they're going to play, then they need to make sure they have a great backup quarterback. And I don't know why. That's something else that's bothering me about the Dolphins. I don't know why they haven't invested legit good money on a backup quarterback because
or draft for it.
Draft, right. They draft. Now, they did draft Quentin Ewers, which I do think Quentin Ewers isn't a bad quarterback at all. They got him late in the draft, so I think that's a pretty decent pickup for them. I just don't know if you're really going to – if it's going to move the needle as far as them getting any more wins and losses if Quentin Ewers has to come in. I am very surprised that they haven't gone after another high-profile backup, though, considering that Tua has always had his injury history. What would you do in that situation? Would you go after pay somebody a little bit extra to be your backup? Because it happens every year and they just fall apart.
I mean, I think in this situation, you don't necessarily want to go after another. You don't want to spend necessarily a lot of money on a high end backup that's already playing in the league like a veteran. I think that it is smart to go with the draft right now. Quinn Ewers, I'm not exactly sold on. I feel like he might be a little overrated. I don't know. I was just never really sold on him. I'm not even necessarily particularly sold 100% on Arch Manning either. So I'm just maybe just that critical of Texas quarterbacks right now. But I do think that the option here is to draft just because you give that person a little bit more time. You give them a little bit more time to learn, to grow, and develop. And you're not sending the message necessarily to like, oh my gosh, you're getting replaced right now, or you're spending so much more money. The draft is just a cheaper option, I think, for that kind of move. And yeah, as far as Darren Waller, though, too, coming out of retirement, I don't see this quite having the impact that Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement for the Bucs necessarily was going to be. So I don't think this move will quite work out like I think the Dolphins are expected to do. And again, you've got Tyreek. Hopefully the wrist injury was just a freak thing and he comes back 100%. But yeah, it's pretty much it's him and Waddle. If those guys don't, help Tua carry the offense, it's going to be, I think, another struggle this year for sure. And if Tua gets hurt, you might be seeing Zach Wilson, and if Zach Wilson doesn't live up to hype, you might be seeing Quinn Ewers as early as probably the second half of this season.
Yeah, I hope too, obviously, because you want to have all good quarterbacks in the league. And I do personally think that Tua is a good quarterback. It's just unfortunate that he's gone through all his injury issues. I'm not going to totally dog the Dolphins in this one either. I do like them picking up Ollie Gordon in the 6th round. I believe it was, but it was 6th round. Yeah, 6th round. He was projected, 2 years ago to be the top back in the league. He had a huge downfall of a season last year. He just did not look the same. But I think getting him that late in the draft was a steal for the Dolphins, man, because they also have Devon Achane, who's lightning fast. They got Wright, I believe his last name as well, so they haven't really got a chance to see him very much. Raheem Mostert's gone. But I really like getting Gordon out of there. I think he's got the size and he's got an elusiveness to him. Hell of a good amount of speed. I am surprised he fell all the way to the 6th round, though. That guy was extremely highly touted going 2 years ago, and he never had a good season last year. So I will give them a lot of credit for landing that running back pick, a spot that they're all about speed. And if you can have if your offense is going to be based on that, the more fast people you have, the better off you're probably going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on from the Miami Dolphins and head over to sorry about that. And we're going to go head over to the New England Patriots, man. New England Patriots were an interesting team. They went through a lot of transitions in this offseason. Drake May is officially going to be their full-time starters. They got Stephon Diggs in the offseason. What's your thoughts on New England, man? I feel like New England's going to make a big move this year. I still don't think they're going to be I think they're going to be better than their record projects. I believe they're only projected to win like 7.5 games, maybe 8 games from there. I can see them being a 9-win team at least. What's your thoughts on New England?
I think even 7 wins is a bit too optimistic. Like, I know obviously getting May, his guy, getting him a great wide receiver to throw to a great veteran is going to be a great move for him. But I don't see that moving the needle so much. I could see, even 7 wins, like I said, I think was a bit too much for me. I could see them going about, they're 4-13 last year, so I could see them going 6-11. I think that honestly, like, even getting 1 to 2 wins, I think is a good step for them. The way how Buffalo plays this division, I think the way Miami is, I just don't see them being a 7 to 9 win team. I think that 5 to 6 is probably going to be about their ceiling this year. Again, it's not, and they're not necessarily under pressure to be that good right away. So I think that they've done just enough to keep improving, but I think that it's a slow improvement, not necessarily a big leap like you're thinking.
No, I think with Mike Vrabel coming in, I think that it makes a lot of sense. I think he's a hell of a coach, and I think he understands how it is to be in New England. I like that hire. I think the Mayo issue really, I just think he was in and over his head, and they were waiting on Vrabel to come in there. I think him coming there is going to be a big thing. I like the draft that they had their first 3 picks, getting Will Campbell, Travion Henderson, and Kyle Williams. I like all 3 of those picks. I think they were home run picks. Some people had issues with the arm thing. I think if you got the talent, you got the talent. That arm thing is a concern, sure, but I think if you got the talent, you got the talent. Honestly, like I was just saying. So I like Will Campbell. I think he was a damn good player in college to come over to New England. I think that's going to work out pretty well for them. I'm just a little bit more optimistic. I think Drake May is the real deal. I like what he's able to do. I think that he's finally going to be unleashed a little bit more this year after playing a little bit last year. You saw some really good glimpses of a guy that is mobile, has a good arm, doesn't seem like he makes too many bad decisions. And we'll see how it is being a full-time starter. They started out with Jacoby Brissett. I think he learned a lot. And Jacoby Brissett seems like the ultimate bridge guy. That seems like the guy, if you have a guy that's you want him to come in and take over, win a couple games for you, or play a few games and teach, that seems like Jacoby Brissett's your guy. So I think it made sense for them to start him for a little bit, and then like Drake May finally learn to take the reins and take it over. Josh McDaniels is calling the offense. You know how he has his history with New England. I'm just a little bit more optimistic in New England. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year. I think I can see a lot of improvement. I think that they'll be in a lot more close games, and I just have faith in Vrabel. Actually, I think it's what it is. It's the Vrabel effect for me.
I feel like if Miami tanks this year, if they don't do as good as we're expecting them perhaps to do, if they don't, if like let's say worst possible scenario happens, like Tua goes down or something, I could see New England being that second team, then kind of leapfrogging them in the division standings. I think right now where everything kind of currently sits with everybody, like the roster staying what they are and everybody not getting injured, I see this team I see them at least leapfrogging the Jets in the stands, but I see them being like 6-7 wins. I think that's respectable. But again, something happens to Miami, I think Drake May and that team could definitely take advantage of that. I just don't see at full strength. I don't see them making up that gap just yet. Just yet.
A little bit too early for it.
Yeah.
That's fine. Hey, you know what? And I'm just speculating here at a contracts and all that good stuff like that. I don't know the number, so don't get all crazy about that. But there was a lot of rumors out there in San Francisco that Juwan Jennings is asking for something. I mean, maybe Juwan Jennings coming over to New England, kind of go side by side with Stephon Diggs would be an interesting move for them to make as well, because they have a bunch of okay wide receivers. They don't have, besides Stephon Diggs, they don't have. I don't feel like really a good number two. I think they have a bunch of Bs. I don't think they have like a 1A, if you will. Maybe Juwan Jennings would be an answer out there. Obviously, contracts come into play. You never know, but that's just a name that's out there that's asking for a new contract.
Could move the needle potentially.
Yeah, I think so. I think Jennings is a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. You got anything else on the Patriots? So that's going to wrap it up for you on the Patriots.
No, fingers crossed for them they can get Jennings. That's big.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that one out there in the air. I think that'd be a really good move for them.
Manifest it, as the youth say.
Yeah, there we go. All right, man. There's one more team that's left, and that is the Jets. Jets.
Oh,
the New York Jets, man. They had themselves one interesting couple of years. Aaron Rodgers is officially out of the New York Jets. In steps Justin Fields, man, and the New York Jets had had an interesting week, man. They re-signed Sauce Gardner. They re-signed Garrett Wilson. They got their two studs locked up for a lot of money and a lot of time.
I feel bad for both of them. Ugh, gosh.
So I take it you're a little bit down on the Jets.
It's the Jets. Like, even with Aaron Rodgers, it was like, I mean, like, when he went down, it's just like, oh, no, this is the reason why they're the Jets. So oh, gosh, Sauce Gardner's such a great talent. Why can't he just be somewhere else? Not even in Tampa. Just go somewhere where your team's not going to be complete trash. Ugh.
In the words of Big Daddy, it's the GD Jets. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, man. Anyways, yeah. So we had. I don't know, man. I think the Jets are going to be better this year. I think that they have a lot of interesting moves that they made. I think Justin Fields, he did play college with Garrett Wilson, so I think they already have that little bit of chemistry. I think Justin Fields is. If you watched him last year, whenever he was playing with Pittsburgh, he didn't look that bad. He was actually had a winning record. They just made the move over to. Russell Wilson. That was still kind of puzzling. Russell Wilson came out and played pretty decent, and they kind of fell off at the end. But I think Justin Fields is actually a legitimately pretty decent quarterback. I think he's well enough to win some games for you. He brings an interesting dynamic. He actually has the mobility that he brings to the game is bar none. And I think he actually has a decent arm. I think that he's just been constantly in an interesting situation. Going back to Chicago, man, if Justin Fields was still in Chicago and the offensive line they have now, I think Justin Fields would look like a completely different player. He's been around bad coaching as well. I don't think Eberflus was a good coach for him. Even I forgot who their offensive coordinator was for him back in Chicago, but I don't think that it worked out for him. So I think that first round talent is still there for Justin Fields. I just think that he needs to be in the right system to be able to showcase his talent. I think that the Jets is actually going to be a pretty good fit for Justin Fields. Having a number one receiver in Garrett Wilson, I think is a great thing. I really like it. I think they need to improve in their wide receiver core and getting another wide receiver for sure. I do like they picked up, what's his name? Was it Mason Taylor, the tight end? What's Mason Taylor's son?
Yep.
I think he's going to be a pretty good addition and be a pretty good factor for Justin Fields. I'm not ready to say the Jets are going to be a Super Bowl contender, but I do think that they are going to be improved in the aspect of Aaron Glenn coming in there is going to a no-nonsense coach. He played for the Jets. He understands the Jets. So I do like the coaching move they've made there. I just feel like that it's going to be a better season, more competitive for the Jets and less turmoil. The Rodgers thing never really worked out at all for them, really. You never know what could have happened if you never got the Achilles injury. Whenever it happened, he was like 4 plays into the game. So that would have been interesting to see how it actually would have worked out. But having said that, I just think that the Jets need a reset button, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the fit with Fields, with Garrett Wilson, like you were saying. I think that combination is going to be good. I think that Justin Fields, I think, will take some steps forward as a passer this year, especially if they can find another wide receiver, especially over the next few seasons with the Jets. I do like Glenn as well, like you were alluding to. He's got that familiarity with the franchise. I think the fans will definitely appreciate that and love that. I don't see them improving on their record last year, not because there's anything wrong with Justin Fields, not because there's anything wrong with Aaron Glenn, but I think more of just because I think that they've just, as a franchise, I think that they're still going to grow. They're going to go through some growing pains. And I think that just the other teams in this division are going to continue to take steps forward. Well, maybe they just take a step back, not necessarily do their own fault just because the way the other teams are constructed right now. I think that we won't see the Jets really reach their full potential until probably 2-3 seasons from now. Just my thoughts on that. I think that it's a step back for them, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, I could buy that. I think they're heading in the right direction, though. I think that the coaching moves they made. I feel like I kind of feel bad for Robert Saleh. I don't think that he was a bad coach. I just think that everything, the turmoil around Rodgers being there, I just think they, like I was saying before, I think they just needed a gigantic regular Nintendo reset and start back over, and that's exactly what I think they did. So I think the Jets here, I agree with you on that one. I think that they're still are a little bit of ways away, but I think that they're going in the right direction now. It feels like they have an identity with Aaron Glenn being the new head coach, and going back to almost like that smash mouth football. And he was a big defensive guy, and he understands what that Jets defense can be and should be. You've
got one of the better defensive backs of his era being paired with one of the greatest defensive backs of his era too. So I think Sauce will probably benefit the most from this. And whether I think it will be interesting to see at the end of his contract, where he's going to be at in the league. He's probably going to be, I could see him being the best cornerback in the league by far, if not already. And just to see where he's at the end of the contract, and if this team is able to take those steps, he might be a Jet for life. And if they don't, you're probably going to lose another Darrelle Revis type of ball player in free agency, which would be very unfortunate for this franchise.
Yeah, I agree. Man. I agree. That's going to wrap it up for us for the AFC East. Like I was saying before, we're going to be making our predictions here when it gets actually closer to the season. So we'll make it so you guys don't have to do that twice. But we'll go ahead and make our predictions later on in the season when it gets actually closer to game times and all that good stuff. So tune into that if you want to know how we're going to rank each one of these. Now, for going from that, we'll go to one of our fun stat things we like to do on here. It is time for this week's Down Bad Debate.
It's time for the Down Bad Debate.
This week's Down Bad Debate is going to be a fun one, man. It's a build $15. You have $15 and you have to build your favorite flag football squad. You got a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and cornerback. I'm going to have you let you go first, my man, Mr. BC.
All right.
That's what makes it being nice being the host here. I get to tell you whenever you get to go first. So you're going to go first, my man. You can go in any kind of orders you want. We just need to make it out to $15 and then pick one player from each position.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Oh, gosh. I am trying to think right now. Let's go with at my corner. I'm going to start there. Premier position at my corner. Give me Sauce Gardner for $2. I think he's the best player in this group by far. And then I think that he gives me a great value deal too. So for $2, give me Sauce Gardner at corner.
Not a bad pick, man. I'm going to go out with a splash here and give me Lamar Jackson for $5, man. I feel like his skill set completely matches any kind of flag football style. You kind of rush the passer. There's no way you're catching him. You can barely tackle the guy, let alone grab a flag from the guy. So I'm going to start off with a bang and go Mr. Lamar Jackson.
Yep, and now it's back to you as well. We're doing snake draft rules, so
fair enough. Fine, yeah, no problem. And so I'll move on to the next one here, and that's running back. I feel like the running back in the flag football style is not really as important as it would be in a regular league. So I'm going to go actually save a little bit of money here and go with Ashton Genty down there to save myself a little bit of cash because I feel like the running back, you don't necessarily need him because it's not traditional football where you're going to have an offensive line. Ashton Genty has a skill set to be able to catch the ball, so I'm going to go ahead and kick that one to put me at $6.
Cool. All right, so let me see here. I'm just weighing my options right now. I'm like, all right, what have we got? Let me see. So for my tight end, give me Travis Kelce. I want to get those sure hands right there, legendary right there. See, I got $5. I've got 10 to spend. Let me see how I can divvy this up. Let's see, I'm going to disagree with you on. No, running back started taking. I don't have to worry about that. Give me $5, Jamar Chase at my wide receiver.
Wow, that's an interesting one there too, man. It's up to $10 now, correct?
Yes, I'm up to $10 with that one.
All right, and I'm sitting at $6 here. So I'm going to go move on to the wide receiver position, and this one's going to be an interesting one because you obviously want to have a guy that can, catch and be elusive. I'm kind of torn on this one. I wanted to go Tyreek Hill just for the pure speed out of all these guys on here, but I'm going to go with the size and give me Justin Jefferson. That's going to put me at $10.
All right. So let's see now with my next few picks. Let me think. I can't go with Saquon at running back. Let's see if I go you already got Genty at running back, correct?
Correct, yes.
All right. So give me for my running back, give me Bijan Robinson, and then at my quarterback, give me Josh Allen.
Very good picks, man. Bijan was definitely on there. Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm surprised is left on the board, though. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, would be an ultimate flag football player. All right, I'm going to move on to the tight end right here. I'm going to go with George Kittle for $2. George Kittle, no matter what position, no matter what game it is, George Kittle's going to give you 100%. And, man, he's just an outstanding player, great guy, and he'd be fun to have on your flag football team, I think, cracking jokes and making everybody laugh.
All right. I think that's your roster, right? I think that's everybody.
Oh, yeah, I got one more. I'm sorry, we're doing a snake.
Oh.
So I'm going to close this one out with an interesting pick here because I have $3 to spend, and I'm going to go with Travis Hunter because I think he got his defensive paralysis, and you can throw him on wide receiver. So you get a 2-in-1 player there for $3. It's going to close out my $15.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and just read off our rosters real quick, right?
Go for it. You're up first.
All right, sweet. So for my quarterback for $3, a good bargain value for the MVP, give me Josh Allen. At running back, I've got a good multi-threat out of the backfield and Bijan Robinson for $2. Wide receiver, I got the guy that won receiving Triple Crown, Mr. Jamar Chase for $5. That's my premier pick right there. For tight end, $3, I've got Travis Kelce, all-time great hands at that position, and then no blocking needed at all whatsoever, so we don't have to worry about that. And then at my number two, at my cornerback for $2, I think the best value in this whole class right here, give me Sauce Gardner at corner. Gonna lock down everybody else you got on that side of the ball.
Well played, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and name it off here. For my $5, I'm going to go with the Master Blaster here. Lamar Jackson for $5. You like that, right? Let me go to Lamar Jackson for $5.
Nice.
Untied had to come up with something, man. Sorry.
There you go.
So I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson here for $5. Give me Ashton Genty for $6 to make it out to $6 for $1, which was a deal for me. Give me one of my premier wide receivers in the league. Give me Justin Jefferson for $4. I'm going to go down with Kittle for $2 and my Swiss Army knife of a player for $3. Give me Travis Hunter because I feel like you can run him as an offensive player and a defensive player, and you're going to get value at both for out there. Man, I love doing these right here. As we always say, please like, subscribe, and comment, and let us know what you think as well. These are extremely fun to do, and we really appreciate all the feedback and everything that you guys make comments on. Disagree or agree or make up your own squad for us, but let us know. But keep it at the $15.
G-Mike, when you get in the comments, bro, tell us your picks. You got the leftover scraps, man. Make a squad that's better than us. Tell us that you can do better. Show us.
There we go. All right, my man. Well, that is going to wrap it up for our show for today, man. It has been a lot of fun. Just me and BC today. G-Mike, we can't wait to have you back in the building. We'll be back ready to go either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. We'll see how everything plays out. We really appreciate all the love and support you guys have given us. And like we were saying before, if you can, please give us a like and subscribe. And we are on all kinds of different platforms now. We got Varsity. We got Millions. We got we got Apple Podcasts now, which is a big deal for us. iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. Please just give us a shout out, like, subscribe, to your friends, tell your family, tell your mailman. Just tell anybody you know.
Yep. Say follow, be sure to give a follow though too on BC the Brand _media, Stevie B Sports as well on all the socials too. Mike, do I have that correct, Steve?
Yes, sir.
All right. So yeah, give us a follow too on all our individual accounts as well. We've been doing this now for just about a year, but we've been in the sports broadcasting game long before that. We each got our own individual stories to be a part of, so if you want to see how the journey's been, what it's been like for each of us getting to this point in time. We're still grinding, we're still going, but everybody's got a story. So if you want to follow us on social media, just keep up with that. Again, BC the Brand Media, Stevie B Sports, and then G Mike Media as well. You can follow all of us, give us some love, hit us up, and slide in our DMs if you guys want to get in on the conversations on here. Hit us up on socials as well. We'd love to get you guys on. Tell us how our takes are. They're great. They suck. We're trash. This hat is awful looking. This t-shirt is too baggy. Whatever you guys want to say, the more engagement we get, the better. So, dude, hit us up wherever you can, whenever you can. And dude, just let's make this happen.
For Views from the Stands, I am Stevie B, and that is Mr. BC, and we will see you guys next week. Peace.